Okay, so today we're going to talk about your major assignment for poetry. Okay, so the instructions are you're going to create a presentation that analyzes the poetic elements of a song's lyrics. Your presentation must include a brief background on the artist, a clear main idea statement, an analysis of figurative language, and an explanation of mood and tone. So we've been working with all of this through this entire unit. So the first thing you're going to want to do is choose a song with lyrics that are meaningful to you. So pick a song that you really connect to. You want to make sure that those lyrics are class appropriate and also that they include enough figurative language that you have at least 3 examples to analyze. Step 2, you need to include all of the following in your presentation. So the artist's background, so where they're from, what they're known for, maybe their biggest accomplishments. The main idea, so what's the main idea communicated in the lyrics? So in other words, what is the thematic statement of that song? Then you need to provide 3 examples of figurative language. And for each of these, you need to say what the lyric is, what type of figurative element is being used, so simile, metaphor, hyperbole, personification, all the ones we talked about in class. What does that lyric literally mean? So what is the meaning of that lyric? And then you're going to want to provide an image that visually represents that element with a citation, and we'll go over what that looks like in just a second. You also need to identify the mood and the tone of that lyric. Okay? Then once you've done all that, you're going to create your presentation. And so if you're comfortable with Google Slides and PowerPoint, you can go ahead and do it however you like. If you're not comfortable, there is a template that's provided for you. So if you click here, it's going to take you to this template that looks like this. So this is a pretty bare bones template where you can go in and change things. Okay? So it's going to have everything that you need there. All right? Before I go any further into that, I am going to go to the planning. So as every other major assignment, we have a planning. So if you check it out, it's going to allow you to slowly move through things. So there's an example here that you can look at. This is for Little Lion Men by Mumford & Sons. And so this is some of the things that I've done to talk about that. And so we'll go into that actual one here. So obviously it used to look like a plain presentation. So I'm going to open that in a new window. Okay. So it was supposed to be song and artist. And so I put in the song and the artist. Okay. You'll also notice that I included an image source, okay? So if I go back to here, when you start looking for images, you need to source your images, and you can source them from either the Pexels website, so if I click here, it'll take me there, okay? Or the Unsplash website, and I used Unsplash for all of mine. And so for this specific picture, what I did was I just searched lion, and I scrolled and had a look for something from lion that I liked. Okay, so this is the one image that I used here. When we go to cite an image, all right, so for this one, I wanted it to be in the background. So what I did was I right-clicked and I copied the image address. Then on the actual slides, I right-clicked and I said I wanted to change the background. I chose an image and I have a URL, pasted that URL in there, inserted the image, said done, and there it is. Then down here, I included the image source. If I go back to that image, if I click on this image, it's going to tell me who it's by. So it's by Ivan Diaz. So I've said image source, Ivan Diaz on unsplash.com. And so we need to make sure that we cite when we insert an image. So that's just a quick little show of how to insert a background image if you like. The next slide. Here's the artist's background. So I said Mumford & Sons are a British rock band. They're most known for their album Sigh No More, and they've won many awards, including the Best British Album in 2011. Okay, so right now this slide looks pretty plain, and so there's lots of things that you can play around with on here. So if I want to change the color of this, perhaps, I could do that over here. I want to change it to this color. Maybe I want to change the entire background, so I'll maybe right-click down here. So close this, right-click down here. I might want to change the background. I might want to choose a color. So I'm going to go, I want that color, say okay. And so you can kind of play around with these things as you go. One thing is the slides are all set up a little bit differently. If we look down here, these are ready to go for you. But if you don't like the way a slide is set up, so say this is the way this one is set up and I want to set it up differently, what I can do is if I go to format, or no, see, even I have to go back and look at how to do this. Oh, if I go to slide, and if I want to apply a new layout, I could change the layout and say, oh, I actually want it to kind of look like this, and it'll move things around for me, okay? Another way you can manually do it, if you didn't like, if you wanted to add something else, but you didn't want it in that same text box, I could go insert a text box, and I could put the text box wherever I wanted and type my information here, okay? So you'll definitely want to play around with the design of it, how you want it to look. If you're comfortable with PowerPoint, like I said, go ahead, use PowerPoint, do what you want to do there. For your main idea, you're going to talk about, what this song does. I chose to insert an image here. You didn't have to do that. That's just something that I wanted to do, and I included an image source. Okay, element 1. So I gave the lyric. This is rate yourself and rake yourself. I said this is an example of alliteration, the 2 R sounds in rake and rate. And then I provided a literal meaning. I said this line means that he's starting to think badly about himself and his previous actions. Then I continue, I still need to talk about the mood and the tone for this element. And so I said, the mood is concerned. We as the listeners are worried about how the speaker is talking about themselves. And the tone, so how the speaker feels, is frustration. The speaker's finally seeing what their actions are doing. And then I chose an image just to represent that. You could choose to do your image on this slide or on this slide. You can play around with that as much as you like. Just note that, again, I do have the image source down here. On all of this, I could play with font, right? If I didn't like this font, I could decide that I want to do a different font, right? So this is up to you. You have to decide and make it creative. If you submit something where you're just filling out all of these things, you're not going to get a great mark in terms of presentation because it's going to look pretty plain. Okay. While you're working on this, you're going to want to keep it open. If for some reason you're leaving it and you want to come back, if you don't have a Google Drive account, what you'll want to do is save this URL somewhere because you're going to want to come back to it. So you could do it as a bookmark, or you could actually save and copy it somewhere just to make sure that you don't lose it. Once you are done, you wouldn't submit it this way. So how you're going to submit it is you're going to go File, Download as a PDF document. So I'm going to download as a PDF document. That's going to pop up for me, and then I'm going to make sure that I save this. So here it is. This is my presentation. Okay, I want to make sure I save this. So I'm going to go File, Save As, save it where you would normally save it on your computer. So I'm going to save it on my desktop and save. And that way I can easily upload it as a presentation. Okay, so that's all of that. And so, I found all my images here on Unsplash, so that's pretty easy to do. Just want to point out our planning page. Okay, so again, there's a review of the presentation there. Planning, this, pick your song that you want. Why did you choose it? What meaning does it have? And then you can start actually planning out your ideas. And if you want me to have a look at it, just let me know that you're done and that you'd like me to give you some feedback. If you have any other questions about this assignment, let your instructor know or let me know, and hopefully we can help you out.